standards and assessments, educator effectiveness, alignment of efforts and expectations, pre-kindergarten through college, and Race to the Top award to Maryland. He fought to keep college affordable for Maryland students and is committed to moving Maryland from a national leader to world class in education. Please join me in welcoming Governor Martin O'Malley. Governor.
Jim, thanks a lot. Thank you. Thanks. Thanks very much. Thank you. Thank you all. Thanks. Thank you very, very much. It's great to be with all of you. I look around and I see some of the really, really good people that I have the honor and the privilege and the blessing to be able to serve, especially at in these challenging times. And it's great to be with you. And as I look out at the faces of people that know far more about so much of these endeavors than I do, I recall a quote that I heard the other day when Sidney Poitier came through Baltimore. And he was quoting Dr. Martin Luther King, who said it's important to preach to the choir. Otherwise, they might stop singing. So we need you to keep singing. We need you, more importantly, to keep doing. I want to thank Treasurer Kopp for all of her good work on the Board of Public Works as we protect those priorities that allow us to invest in education and innovation. Attorney General Gansler is with us, County Executive Craig, Senator Dolores Kelly, Comptroller Franchot. Britt Kerwin and I rode up on the elevator together, and also Dr. Grasmick looks younger and happier than ever. It's a remarkable thing that happens. I saw Jim Smith the other night, and he looked like he was younger and happier than ever. So I look forward to being on the other side of reversing the clock. And thank you, Dr. Grasmick, for all of your good work on improving outcomes for Maryland kids. Major General Justice Freeman Rabowski. Did Freeman leave? We're blessed to have his leadership. And Gloria Flock and Bob Marshall, Jim Pitts. Also, James DeGraffenwright is here. James, thank you for everything you're doing on the state school board. It's outstanding work. So many people here, I could read everyone in the room. You're all very, very important. And Norm Augustine, thank you for being a leader of our state, being a leader of our nation, and coming back and continuing to give in Maryland. I think you believe, as I believe, that Maryland has a special legacy and a special responsibility, and that is to really step up when our nation's going through times of doubt or sometimes even inclinations to fall back. Maryland moves forward. Let me thank everybody with the Roundtable. Congratulations on your 20th anniversary. The Maryland Business Roundtable for Education has been an important organization for our state, and never more important than it is right now. June Streckfuss, terrific presentation, terrific work. June is one of my dearest friends and has been a really key advisor to the O'Malley Brown administration on education issues and that drive for a race to the top. And thank you for always encouraging us along, June, and making us move forward and not be content with things just being a little better than they were. There's so much to say as I listened to all of the speakers beforehand, so I'm going to resist the temptation to roam and go far and wide. June said something in her remarks just now about making our children winners. And that's not going to happen by itself. We did not enjoy a better quality of life than our parents and grandparents by chance. We enjoyed a better quality of life than they enjoyed because in their day, they made responsible choices. They had the courage, they had the guts, they had the gumption, they had the will to work hard in their own time and to invest in that common platform of ours called the United States of America, the greatest job-generating and opportunity-expanding machine ever created by man and womankind in the history of the planet. But it does require that every generation rise to the challenges of their time and take the actions and make the investments necessary in order to drive progress, in order to create jobs and opportunities for our country's future, thereby our children's future, and thereby make our children winners in this new economy. If I leave you with no other thought today, I wanted to share with you this quote that I think capsulizes very well kind of where we find ourselves right now as a nation. We are between stories, as it were. We had a story that carried us for many, many years, a story of security and prosperity that each of us could make sense of our own individual contributions within the context of that story, right? For the dignity of mankind and the dignity of the individual, the freedom of the individual, we were going to defeat communism and we were going to send a man to the moon. And that was a story that each of us could be a part of. We are now between stories, and we need to come up with a new story. And the world really needs us to do so. You heard the 7 billion that Bob was talking about, 7 billion people on this planet. Population doubled in our own lifetime, and for the first time we've actually all been able to view our planet from outside of our planet. And the very survival of this species and how long it can coincide with the emerging story of the universe really depends on us. It depends on STEM. It depends on science. It depends on innovation and our finding a better way forward. This quote's from Margaret Wheatley. She says, "It is possible to prepare for the future without knowing what it will be. And the primary way to prepare for the unknown is to attend to the quality of our relationships, to how well we know and how well we trust one another." And all of these things that the Maryland Business Roundtable for Education is doing around STEMs, so much of it, you hear the words connection, integration, bringing people together, bringing people from outside schools into schools, getting teachers to make available to their students the great resources in STEM that we have in our state. So much of this is about the relationships. We would, through our own efforts and collaborative action, you're providing a powerful illustration of how, as a state, we are stronger when we work together, when we cross those silos, when we tend to the quality of our relationships, including our relationship to the next generation. Our economy is an innovation economy. Fun fact here for you. So far this year, we have had, among the 50 states, we rank 10th in job creation. So we're in the top 10. Among states so far in the year in new job creation. Our country's now put together 13 months in a row of net positive job creation. That's the first time that's happened since 2005. So things are starting to change, and innovation is at the core of that. Later tonight up at the University of Baltimore, a man named Jeff Sachs is going to be speaking. He's written a book recently called The Price of Civilization. And he talks about the fact that his theory is we don't have a macroeconomic problem in our country. What we have is a mismatch between the opportunities that the number one innovation economy in the world is generating and the skills our people have to fill those opportunities. And in crossing that delta, that is the definition, I believe, and I think you believe as well, of what economic leadership is all about. How is it that we're able to cut $6.8 billion out of your state budget and yet increase education investments? Because we know education investments, more active labor market policies, investing in the skills and the talents of our people is what's going to move us from skills down here to skills up here that can match those opportunities. And June, this organization's been way out in front on this. You know how true this is. Recently, since we're exchanging Tom Friedman quotes, one that I heard him give, Norm, out at the National Governors Association in his talk about our country and the things that we need to do in order to educate, innovate, and rebuild. He said, we need to cut, we need to raise, and we need to reinvest. Because the country we need to rediscover is our own. To rediscover our own country and those opportunities, we need to reverse the trends that we've seen over these last decades of, I won't say decades, the last decade of decline and loss. And Norm Augustine in his Committee on Prospering in the Global Economy said that our schools have, quote, shown little sign of improvement, particularly in mathematics and sciences. No other country is going to turn around these trends. I'm not going to read through them. You know what they are. This is not something that some other country is going to do for us. This is something that we must do for ourselves. I remember a story I once heard Bill Cosby tell about a prize fighter that was getting the bejesus knocked out of him in the ring, and his trainer pulls him over and sits him down in the corner, and he gets in his face and he says, it's not what the other guy's doing to you. It's what you're not doing for yourself. And that's where we're at. Well, as a state, we're showing that there are things that we can do, even in a down recession. And I wanted to just touch on a few of those right now to give you a little bit of hope, because one of the other things that came out of Jeff Sachs's book on the price of civilization is how important it is for us to restore confidence in one another, in our own relationship, and the things that we do through that common tool and platform of ours called our government. I mean, if we don't have effectiveness in our governance, how can you expect people to do more as individuals? If we can't deliver results, if we don't have the guts to set big goals and share with one another whether or not we're getting there, or how quickly we're getting there, then there's very little hope for this endeavor. I see tremendous amount of hope. And June, in some of the slides that you were going through, I turned to Norm and I said, there's so many great stories of our climbing that mountain. Dag Hammarskjöld said, never measure the size of a mountain until you've started up it. And then you might realize how small it actually was. So, look, first and foremost, we're working with the Business Roundtable. Many of you are involved in STEMnet and our STEM Innovation Network, critically important work. To those of you that raised your hands as speakers, thank you on behalf of the people of our state for your work. Through the network, we're setting up STEM teachers with mentors, as you know. Part of this magic is that it allows our teachers to have a background in the STEM clusters and be more aware of those STEM clusters around Aberdeen and other places where our businesses are strongest in bioscience, cybersecurity, clean tech, green tech. As you know, through the Innovation Network, we've established as June was sharing with us, the STEMnet Teachers Hub. What is it called? eHarmony for Teachers? Networks for teachers that include online access to STEM curricula, lessons plans, webinars, tutorials, classroom-ready experiments, professional development, all aligned with the curricula. One of my favorite parts of the hub is the roster of representatives from business, government, and higher ed who are making themselves available. Today we're announcing a new initiative as part of the hub, and that brings together biology teachers with life science professionals. And next week I'll be convening a group of CEOs from the biofields to recruit more industry leaders to these efforts to better prepare Marylanders for the jobs of our innovation economy, and especially in life science. Number two, recognizing that we won't move past our current difficulties simply by cutting, we have made the investments that have allowed us not only to gain that #1 ranking from Education Week magazine for our schools, but recently, many of you probably saw the tiny article. When good things happen, James, there are always tiny articles, but how our kids moved up in the NAEP scores. And in fact, it was, I do believe, in fourth grade level, I think it was the largest increase of any of the 50 states since the NAEP scores. And Dr. Grasmick confirms that it was, so it must be true. And on some of the other states, we're actually moving back the other way. So it's not only about the dollars we invest, it's about the outcomes that we achieve. Number three, we have set goals in our state. We've set some quite big and ambitious goals in our state, but more importantly, we're backing it up with action and moving forward. One of those goals is increasing the number of STEM college graduates by 40% by 2015. And one of the ways we're getting there is partnering with Project Lead the Way. So far, we've enrolled just under 11,000 students. In 2006, we were only at about 2,500 students. So that, again, ladies and gentlemen, is an example of a graph moving in the right direction. And in the Good News Department on Monday, Bel Air High School and the Carroll County Career and Technical Center were each selected by Project Lead the Way as national models. We're also partnering with the National Science Foundation on a number of classroom-based initiatives. On another front, in partnership with the Obama administration, the National Math and Science Initiative, we're replicating the University of Texas's You Teach initiative, which, Britt, you first brought to my attention, I think, when we were talking about this 5 years ago, which allows teaching students to cross-apply credits from education classes and classes in STEM disciplines, therefore graduating more future teachers who will have backgrounds in those subjects. Number four, recognizing that one of the things that differentiates our states from other states is the strength of our diversity. I mean, my goodness, you ever walk through an NIH, a floor of NIH or MedImmune, and it's like the bridge of the Starship Enterprise. There's the diversity of God's beautiful, diverse planet all coming together with some of the best and the brightest and most highly educated people in the world, being creative. In Prince George's County, we're partnering with the university system, Prince George's Community College, Bowie State University, and the University of Maryland Biotechnology Institute on an initiative to recruit more minority STEM students. And as part of that initiative, we will give hundreds of county high school students the opportunity to take college-level science courses. And the initiative will also give 100 college students the opportunity to teach in our local schools. Number 5, and there's only 7, so bear with me. Putting into action a recommendation from the STEM Task Force. Our Education Department is developing a new state STEM curriculum based on the Common Core standards. We do not run away from the challenges of this world. We embrace it. And we want our kids to be measured against kids internationally. That's one big difference, among others, between this side of the Potomac and our other dear neighbors on the other side of the Potomac. We embrace the core curriculum. We are up to the challenge. And we believe that developing the talent, the education level, and the skills of our kids is economic development. Number 6, through educator effectiveness academies, we've set up throughout our state. We train teachers and principals from every school in Maryland to teach the new core curriculum. Number 7, finally, we're investing in STEM-related job training and apprenticeship initiatives. By way of example, we're training 1,500 of our citizens for green construction and engineering jobs using federal funding from the Obama administration to pay for training costs at Maryland community colleges. So how are we doing? There are areas, some areas where we are improving faster than others. Overall, though, we're making some substantial headway and getting some great traction at a time of deep cynicism and self-doubt, which makes it all the more valuable. We're making progress towards our goals of increasing the number of STEM graduates from our colleges. So far, from the 2006-2007 year, we're up 10%. Again, we're trying to get to 40% by 2015, a number of actions in line to help us get to that point. We have more than tripled now the number of teachers certified to teach STEM disciplines in our secondary schools. That's a nearly 300% increase in a short period of time, which is pretty darn good. And we have also succeeded in increasing by 23% the number of AP exams in STEM-related disciplines that our students are taking in our high schools. So find another business model, Mark Fetting, that does 20% within a 3-year period. If we can repeat that again, if we can accelerate it, that's the difference between standing still, or more accurately slipping back, and making nation-leading progress. And in all of this, the key really is collaboration. Collaboration's the new competition, and there's not another state with a better array of assets for this important collaboration. So let me conclude by saying once again, thank you, June, to you and the Maryland Business Roundtable, Jim, and thank you for spurring us on, and thank you for tending to the quality of these relationships. We're a great people, and our best days are still ahead of us. And the individual actions that each of you is taking are really, really critically important to what we're doing as a state, and therefore critically important to what we must do as a country. That's the great legacy of Maryland. And I leave you with the words of this great American hero, Buzz Lightyear, who said, "To infinity and beyond." Thank you.
Governor, thank you for those remarks. I mean, it's obvious that as a state, we've made the serious commitments, and hey, we're your partner, and we're going to be here to just see this through for another 20 years or more, and more. Right? We'll see. We'll see to infinity and beyond. There you go. Right. Each of us, teachers, parents, legislators, community leaders, business professionals, or neighbors, has an important part to play. Each of us has the power and the responsibility to affect the quality of education and the life of a student. High school success involves a complex interplay between academic and non-academic factors. Students understand and retain more when their learning is relevant, engaging, and meaningful to their lives. Business can provide more effectively than any other group the motivation students need to take ownership of their learning and their course in life. We want doors to be open to students. One of life's most important doors is the one it opens to the workplace. Achievement of high standards and attainment of high-level skills are the key to our children's future. They must be prepared academically, and we owe it to them and to their parents to let them know exactly what is expected of them and how it will be valued in the workplace. Somehow, working together, we must shore up the pipeline to make sure that students understand expectations, take and complete rigorous coursework, receive quality instruction, and are motivated to excel. To transform education in the landscape of opportunity for today's young people, each of us must play an important and distinct role, personally and professionally. We need you in our race to the top. Join the Maryland Business Roundtable for Education. Bring your company's best and brightest minds to the table and the classroom. Invest in STEMnet. Promote science education. Inspire students. Support teachers. Be the change. Thank you all for coming here today and for all of you making Maryland such a great place to live. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.